Have you ever seen a man who seems to have everything, power, money, and respect, yet carries eyes that look like they've lost everything that truly matters? That was Ethan Cole, the youngest CEO in the city. A man who built an empire from nothing. But that afternoon, as the rain whispered against the glass of a small cafe on a quiet street, he wasn't the powerful CEO anymore. He was just a lonely soul. He sat by the window, untouched coffee growing cold, staring into the streets like he was searching for something, or someone, long gone. And that's when a little girl in a yellow raincoat stopped beside his table, tilted her head, and softly asked, "Are you okay, sir?" That one question, innocent yet piercing, changed his life forever. Cloud with Rain Chapter 1, The Weight of Success. Ethan Cole had everything people dream of. The shining office on the top floor, a company worth billions, and a calendar filled with meetings, deals, and decisions. But when the applause faded, and the doors of his penthouse closed, silence screamed louder than success ever could. He had built his empire at the cost of his heart. 5 years earlier, his wife, Emily, had walked out. She couldn't bear the distance anymore, the constant late nights, the empty dinners, the man who loved his work more than his world. They had a daughter, Lily, who was barely 6 when Emily left. Ethan told himself he'd win them back one day, after the next big deal, after the next award. But one day never came. His drive for perfection became a prison. His phone never stopped ringing, but his heart never stopped aching. And then one morning, he found an old photo in his drawer, Lily laughing as he carried her on his shoulders in the park. That smile, pure, innocent, unconditional. He realized he hadn't seen her in nearly 2 years. That afternoon, with no meeting scheduled for the first time in years, he walked out of his office and wandered the city, without a plan, without a purpose. The rain began to fall, light at first, then heavy. He ducked into a small cafe, not the kind he'd ever noticed before, quiet, cozy, filled with the smell of cinnamon and coffee beans. He sat by the window, staring at nothing, memories flooding back. The sound of children laughing outside made his heart twist. He felt hollow. He hadn't cried in years. Not when he lost deals. Not when his marriage ended. But that day, something inside him broke. He wiped a tear quickly, hoping no one saw. But someone did. A small voice, gentle yet curious, said from beside him, "Are you okay, sir?" He looked up, and there she was. A little girl, maybe 7 or 8, wearing a yellow raincoat, her brown hair sticking to her cheeks from the rain. Her eyes were full of innocence, yet strangely familiar. For a moment, he couldn't speak. The cafe around him faded. Only the child stood there, holding a small pink umbrella with cartoon flowers. He managed a small smile. "I'm fine, sweetheart," he said softly. But she shook her head. "No, you're not. You look sad." Those words pierced through him deeper than any failure ever had. Before he could respond, her mother appeared, a kind-faced woman, apologizing quickly. "Lily, don't bother the man." Ethan froze. That name, Lily. The little girl smiled, waved, and followed her mother out the door, leaving Ethan sitting frozen, heart pounding. He whispered to himself, "Lily. Sun behind small cloud Chapter 2, The Second Chance." The next day, Ethan couldn't get that moment out of his head. The way she said his name, the familiarity in her eyes, it haunted him. He returned to the cafe the following afternoon, hoping, without admitting it, that he might see her again. Hours passed. She didn't come. He left a note with the barista, if a little girl named Lily comes here again, please give her this. He wrote, "Greater than, you reminded someone today that hearts can still heal. Thank you." Days turned into weeks, and then one Sunday morning, he returned to find a folded piece of paper waiting for him. It was a child's handwriting. "Greater than, dear Mr. Mom said I can write you. You looked lonely. I was lonely too when my dad left. But Mom says people can come back if they really try. Are you trying?" Ethan's eyes blurred with tears. He had spent years building towers of glass and steel, but a little girl's letter built something far stronger inside him, hope. He didn't waste another day. He reached out to Emily. He didn't talk about work, or apologies rehearsed 100 times. He simply said, greater than, I'm sorry. I want to be her father again. I want to start over. Emily hesitated, but agreed to meet. When they met, she saw something she hadn't seen in years. Not the CEO, not the cold perfectionist, but the man she'd once fallen in love with. And then, standing beside her, holding a yellow raincoat in her hands, was his Lily. The same eyes, the same smile, the same little girl from the cafe. Ethan fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He hugged her tightly, whispering, I missed you so much. And Lily giggled, whispering back, I knew you'd try. Sunrise epilogue. The cafe window. Months later, if you ever passed by that same cafe on a rainy afternoon, you'd see a man sitting by the window again. But this time, he wasn't alone. Across the table, a little girl laughed as she shared her hot chocolate, her mother smiling beside her. And for the first time in years, the CEO wasn't chasing time. He was living it. Glowing star final message, voiceover style. Sometimes, the smallest voices say the biggest truths. Sometimes, healing doesn't come from power, but from love. And sometimes, all it takes, is a little girl in a yellow raincoat asking, Are you okay, sir?